This is Contractor Cents with Ruth King.
Welcome to Contractor Cents. Here you discover ideas, tactics, news, and information that matters to your contracting business and you. I'm your host, Ruth King. This episode is sponsored by Profitability Movement. Google Profitability-Movement to join this community of business owners focused on building profit, increasing wealth, and giving back. Thank you for joining us. Here is how we will help your business and you today. What if you could increase your closing ratio from, say, 20 to 35%, or even 35 to 45%? It is possible using a tool that I find many contractors don't believe in: financing. I have seen how financing has helped salespeople and business owners increase their closing ratio and increase their average sales. In reality, financing is a no-brainer, but why do so many contractors think their customers don't want it? My guest today, Patrick Ruland, will discuss the answers to these questions and more. Patrick heads up sales and revenue operations for Watsco Ventures. He is passionate about helping contractors grow their business. Patrick, welcome to Contractor Cents.
Thank you, Ruth. Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. I mean, you've seen it as well as I've seen it. No, my customers don't need financing.
Oh my gosh, it's the number one thing that I hear. None of my customers need financing. All my customers pay with cash.
Yeah, right.
Right. And I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions that we run into, and definitely one of the things that I'd love to talk to you about today.
Well, good. Start.
Okay, perfect. Well, so when I think about financing, Ruth, and when I'm talking to contractors about bringing on new financing partners or just starting financing in general, because they've never offered it before, that's usually the first kind of roadblock I run into is my customers don't use financing. My customers can all pay cash. Well, in reality, what that really is that's usually the contractor putting their feeling about how they purchase things onto that customer. Right. And so what I always love to kind of start off with is taking a step back and thinking about who it is that's going to be purchasing the system and what that investment looks like. The people out there today that have most of the buying power these days are millennials. That's who's out there buying all these houses and driving up our housing prices. Right.
Yep.
And, full disclosure, I'm a millennial myself, but we're a generation that was raised on monthly payments. When I went and got a new phone a few weeks ago, it wasn't, hey, Patrick, this phone is going to cost you $1,000. It was, no, this phone is $11 a month, right? I know that I can fit that into my budget, and that my generation tends to focus on that. And so really understanding what a customer is looking for, I think, is the first thing that contractors need to realize.
Yeah, I mean, think about how many contractors you and I talked about previously actually walk into a car dealership and write a check for the car purchase. How frequent is that? I mean, come on, that is not the majority of the Americans in this country anymore. I think
Right.
Wasn't some bank organization or loan organization did a study and said that 57% of all Americans have less than $1,000 in their savings accounts. How are they going to write a check for a system that costs $10,000, $15,000, $20,000?
Exactly. And I've seen that same study. And as you continue on into those thresholds, it continues to be more and more apparent that people just don't have this cash sitting in their bank account. To your point, right? 57% less than 1,000. I think that what I read was that it was like 80% have less than 3,000. Well, we're not even starting to flirt with the cost of a new system yet, right?
No.
So that's really where that comes into play, 100%.
Yeah. Okay. So you and I both agree that most contractors don't think that financing is necessary, but how do you turn the contractors' thinking around? And, what do you tell the contractors?
Yeah, great point. Well, actually, I'm just going to call back to three things that you said at the beginning of our conversation here in terms of like what can financing do for a contractor's business? Well, it's going to help them increase their overall ticket size. It's going to help them give their customers more options to be able to close that sale, and it's going to simplify their sales process. And so by really digging into what each of those means and what that means for their business is usually the way that the first thing that we really start talking about to overcoming that mindset. So when we talk about closing bigger deals, closing higher average ticket size, Well, rather than the customer being reliant on the dollar amount that they have sitting in their bank account, you can up that purchasing power for them. They can then focus on what's going to be the best fit for their home rather than what they can actually afford to write a check for today. And what that does is that helps them drive the sales of higher efficiency, helps them add on things like air quality, or even getting more customers to sign up for maintenance contracts for that recurring line of revenue into the business. All of those things become much more possible when you increase that customer spending power.
Yeah.
The other thing is we talked about the customer mindset, and I have a little story for you that I think really speaks to why customers crave financing, expect financing, especially when they're buying something that, I mean, let's be honest, right? A new HVAC system is about the cost of a certified pre-owned vehicle at this point. It's a pretty big investment. My wife and I were shopping at Walmart a few months back, and we got to the checkout counter, and there was a big sign above our checkout counter, and above every checkout counter in that line, it said, "If your shopping cart is valued at over $100, ask us about interest-free financing." Now, if consumers are expecting financing on something as trivial as daily groceries, you better believe that when they're buying a full system replacement, they want to see those options. And so just again, putting themselves in that customer mindset, I think is really one of the biggest hurdles to overcome.
Yeah. And I'm going to comment on something you said about maintenance agreements, maintenance plans. Everybody should be including that as part of the sale. All right.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not an add-on. It's part of the sale.
You're absolutely right, Ruth.
So let's assume that, okay, a contractor goes, yeah, maybe I'm one of the few who actually can write a check. How do you get them to say, all right, let me try financing? And in their minds, what is trying financing mean that you've seen?
Yeah, for sure. So couple of points on that one. So when in terms of what trying financing is literally as simple as that, right? Test it out. Try offering a customer side by side options, right? Here's my finance cost and here's my cash cost. That way you're taking the decision and putting it on the customer, right? You're not making that decision for them. You're giving them those options. And what that's going to do is it's going to make that conversation a lot less awkward. It's still a little awkward for us in our industry to talk to customers about financing, and it can be awkward for customers to ask for it, even though they're craving it. And so just leading with it first and foremost is what I mean by trying. Now, what I want to say is that really what I think speaks to why they should try it is results from other contractors out there that are just like them. So I want to share kind of a general consensus that I've found, but also a very specific story of a contractor that I worked with that was very, very financing averse and has completely changed his mindset since then. So in general, I would say that the vast majority of contractors that I speak with after they've been testing using financing are coming back and saying, I am shocked at how many of my customers are taking advantage of this, right? When I start offering it, they want it, they take it. And what that means is that that customer wasn't purchasing necessarily with cash. They were putting that lending back on themselves, right? They're putting it onto a credit card, right? Or they're writing the check out of their bank account with the intent of spending on their credit card while they make that money back into their account. And so just seeing how often people take advantage of it is one of those big things. But a more specific story of just like a huge win from a contractor perspective is there's a contractor that I was working with that had never offered financing before. And we went through this process of explaining why and how powerful it is and why it's something that he should absolutely be using on his business. And he started to use financing. Now, what he was doing is he was presenting the customers with a single option. Here's your 14 SEER, or here's your 16 SEER option. Well, he reached out to us a few months later and said, I really want to sell higher efficiency equipment. Said, financing is a great tool to do that, right? Use your financing to show the value of why a customer might want to go for a higher efficiency system. He was skeptical, but he said that he was going to present his customers with that option over the course of the next few weeks. Fast forward about a month later, and he had sold 17 high efficiency systems that he had never sold before, and was so ecstatic that he could use financing as a tool to help him in his business in that way. Yeah. That's one of my favorite stories.
Cool. All right. Before we take a break, if somebody wants more information, where do they go?
Very easy. We're talking about our platform is called Credit for Comfort. All you have to do is go to creditforcomfort.com.
Sounds great. We will be right back. Thanks for listening to Contractor Cents.
Do you ever have warranty leak issues? One of Ruth King's clients did about 4 years ago. Thousands of dollars in expense and unhappy customers. She solved this problem for him, though. How? With a leak letter that every customer must sign when a service technician discovers a refrigerant leak. Once they implemented the letter, there were no more warranty leak headaches. No warranty leak callbacks. Happier customers. The surprising result was more replacement sales, too. To get a copy of the leak letter for free, just send Ruth an email at ruthking@hvacchannel.tv. That's ruthking@hvacchannel.tv.
Welcome back. Thanks for listening to Contractor Cents. I am speaking with Patrick Ruland, who is, I guess, your title, I think, is passionate helper of small businesses who want to grow. I mean, I know that's not your real title, but, listening to you and watching and everything like that, you really do have that passion, which is cool. So, all right, let's explain, because I know I mentioned the Watsco Ventures, and before the break, you gave the website is Credit for Comfort. How are the two related?
Yeah, great question. So Watsco Ventures is part of the Watsco family of businesses. And so Watsco's that big umbrella distributor out there, Carrier Enterprise, Gem Air, East Coast Metal, Baker, all of those different companies that fall under that Watsco umbrella. Watsco Ventures is the tech and innovation arm. So our entire purpose in our career lives is to help contractors grow and scale their businesses, bring them tools that are going to make them more efficient, give them time back in their day, and above all else, make more money. And so obviously today, though, we're specifically talking about our tool, Credit for Comfort, our financing solution.
Got it. All right. So let's talk a little bit about Credit for Comfort. Before the break, we said, okay, here's some really great stories of contractors who were afraid to offer financing. And once they did, they were shocked or, whatever. All right. So let's get into the nitty gritty. I want to do this.
Absolutely.
So how do I do it?
Okay. Well, that's fantastic, Ruth. Let's get you signed up. It is really a very simple and straightforward process. But just to kind of give a little bit of info behind that, we already talked about how financing can kind of be scary, right? It can kind of be, it can be something that's a little bit scary to get into. And so
it's the unknown. It's change. It's fear of the unknown. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so what we wanted to do is make sure that offering financing can be as easy as possible, regardless of if it's something that you've been doing in your business for a decade, or this is the very first time that you're even trying it. We want it to be as simple as possible for our contractors to pick up this tool and start using it. So what this is that we're talking about a single platform that has prime, second look, alternative, and commercial financing options all in one place. A contractor can have financing in a customer's hands in about 5 clicks in 10 seconds is what I like to say. Now, once somebody's decided that they're ready to onboard with us, really all they have to do is fill out a short registration form. Credit for Comfort is a free tool to use. So other than the merchant fees that are accrued depending on the plans that the contractor's offering, there's no upkeep fees, there's no maintenance fees, there's no onboarding fees. So we really wanted to make sure that it's as easy as possible to get on board and start using this. Yeah.
So I say, yes, I fill out the little form. Am I using financing tomorrow, or how does that work?
I wish it was that fast, but it's pretty darn close. We see usually about a 3 to 5 business day turnaround in getting our contractors activated on the software. Once they're activated on the software, we're going to go through a really quick onboarding where our team's just going to make sure that they're as comfortable as possible using the software. And then they're off to the races. They can start offering financing that day. Now, one of the things that we really do pride ourselves on, Ruth, is that we continually support our contractors. So for that contractor that's out there that has never offered financing before, if they wanted our team to jump on a call with them and have that conversation with that first customer, or be on the phone with them to walk them through that first application that they're accepting, we are there to do that. So again, we just want to make sure that this is as easy and simple and straightforward for them as possible.
Yeah. And that's the key. The other key that you mentioned also is it's just not prime, but you have like what you called second look, and I call maybe subprime, and also commercial financing, which is not usually in the same platform.
Yeah, that's definitely something that we differentiate ourselves with. We want our contractors to be able to get as many yeses as they possibly can. And by doing that, we need to give them access to as many lenders as possible. Every customer is a little bit different, right? There's a different level of income. There's a different level of credit worthiness. We want to make sure that they're not just pigeonholed into only servicing those customers and only offering financing to those customers that have, have spotless credit. We have options that can get consumer financing for customers with FICO scores as low as 500. So it really does open up that ability to offer to a much wider group of customers.
Okay. And the other question I have is, let's say I've been using another financing source. Can I use two?
Absolutely. Why wouldn't you have two?
Well,
I'm always of the opinion of having as many options as possible, because that's what's going to get you those yeses at the end of the day.
yeah. So my thing is, let's try it. I mean, for all intents and purposes, if it works well, customers love it. It's easy to use. It increases your closing rate, increases your average sale, and increases your high efficiency amount of sales that you have. It makes all of your distributors happy because they're selling higher efficiency equipment. Okay, it's the reality from that perspective.
Exactly.
And yeah, everybody wins in that particular case. So, final thoughts before we let everybody go.
What I would say is if you're on the fence of if you should try financing or if you should continue doing the exact same process as you have today, I'd really call back to what you just said, Ruth. What's the risk, right? In my mind, the risk of not trying financing is significantly greater than at least testing it out, right? Because if you're not trying it, you can be missing out on those customers that need that financing. You can be missing out on those upsells. And so get out there, test it out, try it. And statistics speak that you will really like it. You'll love it, and you're going to make financing a much larger portion of your business.
And you're going to say, why wasn't I doing this 3 years ago?
Exactly. You can kick yourself later.
Okay, sounds good. Patrick, give us the website again, please.
It is www.creditforcomfort.com. They can go there to learn more about the software, book a demo, watch customer testimonials, get information, and would love to talk to anybody that's interested.
Sounds great. Patrick, thanks for joining us.
No, thank you so much for having me, Ruth. It was great to be able to get on here and chat with you about this.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And thanks to all of you for joining us. Choose one thing that you discovered and implement it in your business. These ideas, tactics, and strategies help you make more money, have more free time, and give back. If you like today's program, spread the word. Please review this podcast on any device you're listening to it on. Help a fellow contractor make more money too. For comments or questions, call me at 770-729-0258 or email ruthking@hvacchannel.tv. Thanks for listening. Have a great and profitable day.